Hey, here we go. All right. Fired up. Live stream time. QB School, a little holiday edition. I like it. See if I can get the light going a little bit. That might be too much. Bring it down just a bit. Let me know that the audio is going all right. The video's working. Give me a thumbs up. Like the video. Do whatever you want to do. Good stuff all the way around. I'm excited for this. We're going to try to do live streams here moving forward this offseason, pretty much on the regular on Monday evenings. So I'm pretty excited about it, be able to build up kind of a show type vibe here on Monday nights, be able to come in, have some conversations, go back and forth, all sorts of good stuff. Appreciate the thumbs up and the sounds good. Let me know that we're rocking here technology-wise. First and foremost, as I want to say this is like 5-ish for the live stream, so starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with it. All sorts of good stuff coming with this stuff. I'm really excited for this stuff. Hopefully y'all got a chance to check out the video today. Dropped it on kind of combine prep just because it's that time of year, right? Like as the playoffs end, everybody shifts towards Indy, focus on combine, all that type of stuff. And really it's kind of the behind the scenes type stuff. What does it really take to kind of get a 40 going, to get all the preparation you're going to do on the field, in the meetings, all those things. So it was fun to kind of relive those things and go back and forth with everybody as they prepare for those combine things, because it's really a niche industry nowadays with combine prep. People go somewhere, you get the preparation for the on the field stuff, you go over all the skill stuff, and then you really master the kind of interview skills and the preparation, the research that goes into being able to really have a high level job interview, when you might have just finished college, which is probably not when many of us were at our best for job interviewing. So you got to think putting all those skills together are a really crucial thing for all these NFL prospects as they come into the draft. And it's a combination of nerves, excitement, energy. You work your whole life for this opportunity. You only get one opportunity at the combine, and it's fun to see these guys go in there and really thrive and have great days, and have guys who just blow it out of the water with testing scores, who do really well with their football IQ. You get in front of a group of really commanding presences, and you're able to go in there and just kind of talk ball. And it's really, I just remember having so much kind of adrenaline and enthusiasm for it that I just walked out of there just fired up, knowing that this is exactly what I wanted to do for as long as I could do it. And I was excited to be coached and pushed and learn new things, because when you're coming out of college, most of us who were playing, if you're fortunate, you really only have one set of coaches. So you're probably running the same offense, for that many years. Now, if you're at a higher level and coaches turn over a little bit more regularly than when I was in Division II world, but you really get stuck in, you only know one thing. So for me, I was really fortunate. My high school coach, Dan Carmazzi in Sacramento, was also a Davis quarterback. So he ran a variation of what we ran at Davis. So really, I got 9 years of the same system. So then, here we go. Appreciate it, Maisha. Good stuff. The idea being that you run 9 years of the same stuff, then 10 years in the league, bouncing around different teams, 11 different organizations. I get every type of offense ever possible. And so I know this week I'm probably going to drop another, probably on Wednesday, an X's and O's video, specifically on one route combination that was one of my favorites. I think it's pretty popular in Madden nowadays too, so it should be a good one. Hopefully y'all enjoy it. I'm still building it right now, but going through every single playbook I have, and every team runs a variation of this route. So it's fun to see those kind of things kind of layer over each other and kind of nest into being able to, it's just a good football play. And so that's the thing about the combine, is they want to see how good of a football player you can be. Do you fit in their organization? What's your vibe? What's your presence? How do you control yourself? How do you handle yourself? All those things. So the combine for me was a great experience. I'm excited to kind of dive into it here as we get in going. I think it starts maybe in a week or two, so it should be fun. I'm excited. Let's see who's in. Oh, Nick in the house. Nick, I'm getting to the technology question at some point in this live stream. No doubt about it. I appreciate it. I love the turquoise. Love the emoji. Love the logo there. It's really cool for me, so I appreciate it. So the first thing I really want to talk about today is the XFL. Now, I know a handful of people in the QB school community have asked me, kind of gotten on me a little bit to dive into it, give it a chance. And for whatever reason, because where I'm at with our offseason stuff, coaching, or just needing a break from football, I haven't sat down and watched it. But I will tell you that I was at a restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants, where I live, the Brig in Coronado, and we were sitting in the bar area, and there's a TV on, and sure enough, XFL is on. And so I'm kind of half paying attention to it as I sit there for dinner with my wife, and I'm like, and all of a sudden, I hear a couple people kind of lose their mind sitting at the bar watching the game. So I look over and catch the highlight of, I want to say, now I don't remember who the players were, for instance, but I definitely know the teams. Tampa Bay, Seattle. This is the only snap I've watched so far. Tampa Bay, Seattle. I want to say it was in Seattle. It's like third and like a long way, like 24, like more than third in Patrick Mahomes, like third and forever. And the Tampa Bay quarterback comes back and throws a screen right into the defensive end's face. I mean, you couldn't have handed it better. He barely jumped. He jumped, but it would have hit him in the forehead. And it looked like he was trying to throw it to him. Almost like, I mean, I'm glad I don't gamble on the games, but it looked shady that it was that bad of a throw. And for me, you know, as someone who used other leagues, specifically NFL Europe, as a development league, you know, the quarterback development is a big bonus, I think, for a lot of these auxiliary leagues, because it does make the NFL product better to have better quarterbacks, and they need reps, and they can go to these other leagues to get better, to build the bottom of your roster, and then those guys inevitably get a chance to play when people get hurt or for whatever reason. But this play, 3rd and 25, we'll call it 3rd and 24, comes back, throws a screen. Now, we haven't talked a lot about screens on the quarterback school. I love screens, but the screens are a combination of a lot of things. It's about timing, blocking, pass protection, and then you got to make a really accurate throw, and then you got to get it to your playmakers. But the majority of screens, when you go to throw a halfback screen, whether just like a normal halfback screen or across the formation, across the protection screen, it's the quarterback's responsibility to navigate that throw. Now, it helps to have the offensive line kind of, you know, slingshot somebody by you or get their hands down. But the quarterback in every offense I've ever been in is responsible for getting the ball up and down over the defensive lineman's outstretched arms with a firm enough ball to not get your guy killed. You can't throw it 20 feet up, but you also can't throw a dart because the guy will take it, because you have to throw it, you know, at a catchable velocity. So this ball, sure enough, first snap I ever watched, 3rd and 25, drops back, throws it, defensive end, pick six, like 1 yard, pick six. And I was like, nah, this is not for me. So then I'm trying not to watch it now. Now I'm almost like turning away from the TV because I don't want to watch it, because now obviously one snap, too small of a sample size, but it's all it has is affirm my kind of thoughts about it to begin with. Then I start seeing, I see the head coach for Seattle, and I didn't know, I know Winston Moss is the head coach somewhere, and I know that Jim Zorn is the head coach at Seattle. Jim Zorn never coached me, but I have a pretty amazing Jim Zorn story that I have to share, just because it was bizarre and it's connected to the offseason. And so Jim Zorn was the Seattle quarterback coach. Pretty sure Seattle. He was definitely a quarterback coach when I was coming out for the draft. Seattle. I want to say he was friends with maybe our offensive coordinator at the time. He comes down to work me out at Davis. And he was really the only NFL team that came in for a one-on-one interview or one-on-one kind of workout at the time. So he takes me out on the field, and we're throwing. He makes me throw spots, drops, you know, roll out, whatever. Doesn't matter. Then at the very end, well, I knew Jim Zorn was a former professional quarterback. I didn't know anything other than that. And so most guys who are, you know, when you're a college player, if somebody played NFL for a long time, you probably, you know, care what they say, you know, think that they're pretty good. So Jim's out there throwing it back and forth with me. It's just me and him out there. And at the end of the workout, he comes up, and a pretty common drill for quarterbacks to do, and you can vary the yardage, but most people just stand 10 or 15 yards apart, and you get 2 points if you put the ball on someone's face, and you get 1 point if you put it on their chest, and usually play to 10. And I had played this drill many times, and I think it's great. You know, in stationary targets, not moving. It's like shooting a free throw. Like, you should do it at a really high level if you're going to be a professional quarterback. And so Jim Zorn is going to do it against me. I'm excited now. I'm a competitor. Like, this will be fun. He tells me he's never lost at this drill. Ever. Never lost. And so now I start getting a little like, you know, now this is going to be interesting now. He's going to come out here and throw 5 on my face, and it's going to be over. Well, no, he like misses off the first one. I throw it, get like one like pretty close, probably would have hit him in the ear. Like, no, 0. I'm like, all right. So next one, whatever. Right at his face. 0. Now I'm like, what do I do? Do I tell this guy who's come down to evaluate me, hey, bro, stop cheating? This is this is not cool on any levels. Or now do I kind of just understand why he's never lost because he's cheating? And there's no doubt about it. Like, it was at least a handful of times where he was like, no, 0, missed a body. And I'm like, you're looking around and there's an audience of people. Now, they don't necessarily know exactly what you're doing. But I remember thinking afterwards, like, I just got cheated by Jim Zorn. Like, this is crazy. But it was also like a surreal experience. And it was the first of many surreal experiences. But I will never forget feeling like I got cheated on the 2-and-1 drill for quarterbacks by Jim Zorn on a pro day evaluation. So it was wild. And that relived it when I saw Jim Zorn after many years pop up on the TV and doing like a sideline interview for Seattle. So I'm probably not going to watch the XFL anytime soon. Well, I appreciate everybody checking in here. Works nice on a nice little holiday here in the States. So hopefully y'all get a chance to enjoy it. It's definitely not Coke, Jordan. I'm not a big Coke guy by any means. I just, for whatever reason, have never drank a whole lot of soda. This is iced coffee, but I appreciate you caring. It is pretty good, actually. Gotta keep it up. Yeah. The other thing that people have been asking me questions about, and if you're in the football world, it comes up and it's important to talk about these things. And I hint about it every once in a while because I know most people who come to this channel probably want football content all the time. And so when football content is what I'm trying to offer, I try to make it fun, entertaining, whatever, exciting. But every once in a while, things are more complicated than just football, right? And so the Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph thing is in the news right now, and I'm getting a handful of people asking me about it, students asking me about it. And so for me, it's one of those things that it's a great opportunity on a number of levels to teach a little bit. Now, the first thing is that, without knowing all elements of the truth here, it's a little irresponsible for me to paint the picture like I know every single fact, because I don't. I'll just tell you what I think is public, and then we go from there. But essentially, Myles Garrett getting suspended for a long time, hitting someone Mason Rudolph over the head with a helmet. To me, fortunate not to be in jail. It's a weapon. Any number of bad things could have happened. I've never seen it happen before, ever in my life. I've seen more fights on a football field than I can possibly remember. Never seen anything like that before. It was scary, terrifying, bad for football on many levels. But the thing that's come out recently is this idea that Mason Rudolph said some sort of racial slur to Myles Garrett to instigate this process. And for me, I'm going to say a few things here. Unless there's proof or evidence, I'm not going to slander Mason Rudolph. But I will say that I heard crazy things on a football field. Crazy inappropriate things in tunnels going to games. Crazy inappropriate things all over the place when it came to NFL football, on the field, in the locker room, in the tunnel, fights after games, fights at practice, any number of craziness thing. I've never seen anyone act like that and take a helmet and hit someone in the head. Now, the other thing that I want to make sure that I talk about real briefly is that the interview recently, I want to say it was on ESPN, where Myles Garrett came out and basically reasserted this idea that Mason Rudolph said some sort of racial slur to him. Now, there's 2 points in this. One, I want to say I'm really, really hesitant and tread lightly about ever victim blaming for anything. Anything. I walk on eggshells around that type of thing. So whenever you're going to come out and victim blame someone, and what I mean by that is Mason Rudolph is the victim. He got hit over the head with a helmet. So to say that he, some reason, deserved that, no matter what you say, however inappropriate, is probably not the road I want to go down. But I will say that if you come out and slander someone's name and call them, say that they use some derogatory term towards you, it felt like borderline inappropriate for ESPN not to allow Mason Rudolph to have an opportunity to say something. Now, I didn't watch the interview live. I don't know if it was live. I don't know anything about it other than the fact that you should have an opportunity to defend yourself. And so whether he sues him or there's some sort of litigation that comes after this, it seems like it would be in the best interest of everyone if they just let this thing, they move past it and kind of both grew together from it. And even that feels like a little victim blaming. But there's an opportunity for Myles Garrett to make this right on many different levels. I just don't know what. Now, at the same time, it's tough when you're doing this live because these are delicate things. At the same time, it's not okay to use the language that is being tossed around on any level by anyone, let alone a white dude on a football field. It's just not appropriate. It's not. Now, at the same time, I don't know if he said it or not, but I do want to say that I heard it many, many times, many too many times, and probably wasn't strong enough at the time to say, hey, bro, not cool. Hey, this is not what we want to do. But I think we're past it, and there's some element of, for me, thinking myself, this is an element of school, even if it's just a name in the quarterback school. There's got to be an element of me to be able to talk about these things and say, hey, we got to move past these type of things. We got to be better than this. We can't tolerate this. But at the same time, understanding that I don't want to blame the victim, but I do think that there are opportunities to learn from both sides. And so for all I know, there could be video evidence of him saying a racial slur that I just don't know about. I'm not going to say that I'm up on the TMZ element of this. But I do want to say that there are opportunities, in my opinion, at least for everybody to learn, both parties involved and all of us as fans. And so taking that opportunity to just say, hey, I can empathize with both sides. I see both sides. But at the same time, if you basically call someone a racist and say that they used a derogatory slur at you, I feel like there's a responsibility for at least allowing that person to speak or confront that accusation. So we'll go from there. Joseph, you're just looking to move forward. Appreciate it. Thanks for y'all turning out. Kevin in the house. Appreciate it. The Browns take. Uh-oh. I do appreciate y'all letting fly in here. I'll make sure to get a couple questions in as we go here as well. I just want to make sure that, I keep trying to make sure this content is aligned with the live stream. My technology doesn't fail me. And then into that, the next thing I wanted to say, Nick Scott, one of the members of the channel, big fan, got the new badge, fired up. He asked me today, I want to say, about technology in the game. And so I got a good story about this to a certain degree. I don't know what the technology is. If y'all know what the technology is, let me know. But at some point, if there aren't already, there will be chips on everyone and in every ball for sure, so that they can kind of understand where you're at as far as being able to kind of like when you think, I think of it more as like a basketball, where now they can tell where every player is on the court and they maximize efficiency with the three-pointer, whatever. This idea that at some point, the football, absolutely, if it doesn't already, will have some sort of location chip in it. And for me, I've always thought, why not have some sort of way to recognize if the ball crosses the goal line? Put a chip in it, then you don't have to take the human element of it as a scrum, have the line judge come in and pretend he gets it right. Was the knee down? Was the knee not down? Where was the ball? Where was the ball over the thing? People who watch every video on this channel know that at one point I talked about there's so many cameras in goal line pylons nowadays. Put one up on the up too, so you can see when the ball actually crosses it, if it crosses it. And so in that same world, I'm going to take you all inside the NFL locker room. And I'm going to guess the year was 2010. It was either 29 or 2010. I was in with the Bengals, and the other quarterbacks were the Palmers. And so we got into this technology thing. Jordan had a bunch of things on the side, technology-driven businesses. And so we were just talking sports and technology, and we made a bet, even though if you ask them, they'll probably say that they don't remember. Definitely remember. I don't remember how much it was for. It wasn't for like 5 figures, but it was for it was for something. We used to bet a lot about like embarrassing each other, making you have to wear costumes or something, but it was for something. And the bet was essentially at some point, baseball is going to have a technology-driven strike zone. Now I know, here we go. Hit me with the comments. Let it be. At some point, this is going to happen. And so for me, I know there's a lot of old school people who want, the human element of it. But for me, when I watch like a high level tennis game, and I like watching tennis, I like watching the US Open, I like watching Wimbledon. When they challenge a serve, it's super clean. It happens really fast. Come in, boop, boop. It hits the line. It doesn't hit the line, and we're on to the next. Why can't they do that for baseball? Why? Like what? I I don't understand. And so for me, football wise, it's even easier for the goal line, ball, no doubt about it. That technology is coming. I just know from a coach and from a player standpoint, it's so frustrating to feel like it's not like you're getting cheated because they're trying as hard as they can. They really are. Like high school football specifically, let's talk high school football. They're trying as hard as they can. Referees in high school love football. They would probably love to coach, but it takes up too much time. So they're going to referee and get back to the game that they love. But there just aren't enough of them. Oftentimes in California, there's only, I want to say 5. In the league, I want to say that there's 7 or 8. So you just can't see things. And the things that they miss oftentimes are like the slot receivers being held. Well, if you throw it a lot, that's an issue. So, I'm not saying that we want to get rid of every human element in the game, but I do think that there are places, especially as the generations who are more and more comfortable with technology start to become more and more of the decision makers, especially as you can continue to keep the pace of the game. I think that there are elements of technology that can just make the game more accurate and better. And so for me, the strike zone thing, just make it technology driven. For me, I just see like a little hologram right over the strike zone. You challenge the call, you don't like it, it comes up, you see the ball go through it, click it, strike, not a strike, we're on to the next. As opposed to getting called out because the ball was 6 inches off the plate and you're just craziness. And so someone who, I'm by no means an early adopter with technology, but I like technology that makes things easier, that's cleaner, crisper, and feels like it's so easy, and other sports use it so well, even with like soccer and the goal line technology nowadays. It just feels like if soccer's doing goal line technology, the NFL can't do goal line technology. Like, find a way. So I don't know if y'all totally disagree or what. Let me know. I'm sure I'll get back and read these comments at some point. But that was it for me, Nick. So, I appreciate it. Let me know what you think that your thoughts are on the technology thing. I personally know that I think it's coming. It's a wave, and I embrace it, or I try to embrace it and feel like I'm be on the front end of those type of things. But sometimes it feels like, you hit a wall with some people who are just totally anti and want as much human element as possible. For whatever reason, they're not comfortable about it. So good stuff, I hope. All right, what else? You guys got anything good for me? Let me hear. Joe Davey, the question about progressing through reads is a great question, and a video is coming soon. I don't want to do it half justice and talk about it, in a whole lot of depth today and then just regurgitate myself, but I've got it mapped out for a video on progressions coming out really soon. That's a great question. Appreciate it, Nick. Dude, I love that badge so much. Makes me excited. I mean, the only other thing I want to say about the XFL, no, the NFL is not rigged, JK. Are you a bot? Don't bot me, bro. Durkins, Joe Burrow is a great question. And as people have kind of teased out there, college film is coming on this channel. And so Joe Burrow is going to be a big part of that. And so I'm excited to dive into it. To be honest with you, I haven't yet. So I feel kind of a little irresponsible to giving you a full take on Joe Burrow. I think everybody's really high on him for a lot of reasons. Me personally, I kind of, I don't know if I feel a little bad for him just because he's probably going to end up in Cincinnati. And it's a tough place historically to be successful. I think it's a cool story for him in the league. I want to say he's from Ohio, if I remember correctly. He's got to have some mixed feelings about, for whatever reason, not working out in Columbus to then going to the South. And the South is just a different experience than the Midwest. And then having to come home to Cincinnati, or home-ish to Cincinnati, to play for an organization, for me, that is probably on the bottom tier of, long-term success, at least more difficult than other places, especially in that division with a couple franchises, mostly the Steelers and the Ravens, that are historically successful all the time. You're just challenging yourself, and that's the thing about it. And this is going off on another tangent, but I'm going to, just because it's I didn't expect it, but I do think it's true, and I like to challenge people a little bit with their assumptions. The draft, to me, is almost one of the most un-American ways to do this, right? Like, I know that it's the normal thing in America, because drafts happen in every league. But if you go worldwide with most sports, let's say European soccer or soccer anywhere, the players are assets. The players choose where they play their club ball. Now, at some point, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but you don't get drafted to Liverpool. You grew up in Liverpool, and if you're good enough, you get in their academy and you go through the pipeline. They own your assets. In America, they reward the worst teams, trying to keep the league somewhat, not on the same vein, in the same spectrum. And so you get, because you're the best player, you go to the worst team, and you don't have a choice where you go. That's the thing I think I really don't understand. Why, in an American sport, why can't you have a choice to go where you want to go as a young athlete? Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I'm not doing a great job explaining it. But this idea that it's totally an un-American model in America in all of our pro sports. Everyone has a draft. The NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, all these leagues have drafts where they reward the worst teams and they penalize the best players. Like, it's so anti-player. But I mean, it's, of all the things that you're going to fight for as a union, you would almost never fight for that, because everybody who's in the union has already been drafted and gone through the process. That's why you always see young players kind of taken to the chopping block during collective bargaining agreements, because you don't necessarily care about the guys who come behind you. You care about the guys who are in it when you're in it. But to me, it's always struck me as just this bizarre thing to celebrate, and I know nowadays tanking is popular in certain games, but for me, I just never quite understood it. And so for Joe Burrow, back to Joe Burrow, I feel a little bad for him, to have such a great year, to show, just show out on so many levels. And happy for LSU, happy for the South. It's a great college town. Cool to see someone besides Alabama come out of that division, come out of that league. But now you got to go to Cincinnati? Like, damn. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a rough thing. So that's my own take on it. Jordan, you keep asking me about the grip on the laces. Let me see. Palms as laces. I don't know anything about it. Sorry. Let me see. Let me do one more topic here, and then we're off to kind of celebrate the evening here. A little President's Day weekend. This is iced coffee. I'm a big coffee guy, if y'all couldn't tell. Oh, the other thing, yeah, so one last thing here, and I appreciate everybody checking in, hanging out. It's kind of a fun, or at least it seems like it's going to be a really fun offseason for quarterback movement, right? There's a potential for Tom Brady, potential to see what happens with Drew Brees. Phillip Rivers is already moving. What's going to happen in Tampa, what's going to happen in Carolina. All these teams, whether they're rebuilding or just looking to upgrade, have all these opportunities for movement. But being a Southern California guy, or a California guy living in Southern California, and playing with Phillip for a year in San Diego, and always kind of admiring Phillip from afar just as a quarterback, and then getting to know him and getting to see him, how he works how he works so hard and gets after it, and what a good thrower of the ball he is. And I know he's had years where he's been great and years where he hasn't been as great. But San Diego and Phillip Rivers were really something that kind of go together, and we're kind of the last tie for San Diego in the NFL for a lot of fans. And so I know down here, I'm just these guys who look for the last stop on the bus ride. For me, it's one of those things that, I get it. You got to do it. I was not the same caliber that they're at by any means, but everybody almost gets kicked out of the league. Right, like very few people say, like, all right, like I call it like Jerome Bettis, like bus out, like win the Super Bowl and shut it down. Most guys get kicked out of the league, or they, for whatever reason, aren't willing to pay for the amount of money that they're being offered. So you're getting kicked out of the league for one way or another. And so I just hope Phillip lands in a spot that gives him an opportunity to win. I've heard, Tampa, heard Indianapolis, different opportunities, and it's going to be fascinating. Back to the point of this, it's going to be fascinating to see the quarterback movement, right? Because, like, Teddy Bridgewater, what happens? See back in New Orleans, what does New Orleans try to do? What does Patriots try to do? And then, God forbid, Brady doesn't come back to, did I lose it? Oh, no, I'm back. God forbid Brady doesn't come back to the Patriots. what does Belichick do at the quarterback position? All these things are fascinating from someone who loves the quarterback position and loves the idea of all these guys getting an opportunity to close out their careers with Super Bowls. And then obviously there's this kind of surge of young players that are doing it really great at a really high level in the league on rookie contracts. So there's all these, pulling tugs kind of things going in different directions of guys who are on their last contract and guys that are on their first contract, all trying to like sniff out one more bowl. And so it's going to be fascinating as a fan, as someone who likes quarterbacks, to see where all this shakes down. I think, just off the top of my head, I feel, again, it sounds like Carolina's ready to move on from Cam. I know today I saw a few things about that they feel like he will pass his physical. Anytime someone says like pass their physical, I'm putting up these air quotes, is that really that means that they're not healthy. Like I've passed physicals before where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm totally healthy, but I'll pass a physical to get a check or to get a contract. But am I healthy to go out there enough to play and to play a full season, or to do it, to do that type of thing for a franchise to put their commitment into my health and longevity after I've shown that I've had an issue staying on the field? It just feels like Carolina's ready to move forward. They've also had a bunch of guys get out of there, and they're ready for a full kind of rehaul of the organization. I think it'll be a little interesting to see what Tampa Bay does, just as far as the quarterback position with what Jameis has done. Everybody knows this is essentially, he is what he is at this time. He's put in a handful of years where they got a good understanding of his body of work. But I do think that there are some really good jobs available, depending on what happens in New England. Obviously, Indianapolis is going to be probably a fight for that job. There's so many, what happens with Tua in the draft, as far as does Miami move up? Those type of moving parts are going to be fun to see, and it just feels like there's more of them than normal. And so I'm excited. It's a really cool time to be a fan of quarterbacking, right? With these guys who are generational guys at the very end, meaning, Eli taps out, Phillips fighting, Tom's obviously still going, Drew's still going, and then you got these young guys that are really good on rookie deals, and then you got these guys who are core guys like Russell Wilson. Dak's going to get paid, Aaron on the tail end, coming down at least on the trajectory. And so it's a great time to be a fan of NFL quarterback. And so hopefully y'all are excited about it too. All right, let me get a couple questions here. And then, the Jameis thing for me is a polarizing thing for a lot of people. You can't be an enigma, a couple years into your career. You are what you are. That's probably the bummer about it. I hope Phillip doesn't retire. I hope he gets another opportunity to play at a high level, at least with an organization. That's the thing. Like, people bash the Chargers around here, but I want Phillip to go to an organization that values him and values winning at a high level, because I was in enough organizations to know that that's not always the case. That's just the reality of it. And so I think he would thrive in another opportunity where maybe they have different values and go about things a little bit different than the Chargers have. Luke G, what's more important, a QB, an O-line, or RB, a wide receiver, or a coach? Can I answer all? No, I would probably say a head coach and then an offensive line. But, if you got a bunch of guys you can't throw to, that doesn't work either. So there's no easy answer there. I would say the head coach, play caller, and then probably building all three phases from the inside out. So offensive line for sure. Jojo, Tom Brady has nothing left to prove. I think he's just addicted to competition and addicted to being Tom Brady. Like most NFL players are addicted to being the NFL player that they are. It's going to be a hard transition for anybody. But when it's over, it's over. That's the thing about it. You can always go into the next phase if you're a player, for the most part. But you don't get to go back and put the uniform on, so you hold on as long as you possibly can. And I think he's just addicted to competition and addicted to being the absolute best in the world. And so it would be a hard thing to just turn off like a light switch. All right, y'all. I'm going to try to do these normally Mondays a little bit later. This is a little early for me. It's 4 o'clock on the West Coast. I'll probably do these closer to the evenings moving forward. I'll try to figure out a way. I know there's a way somehow in YouTube to be able to post when I'm going to do it earlier. But I really appreciate y'all checking it out, making it happen, supporting the channel. See more and more badges. It gets me really excited. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for checking it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like it. all that good stuff. And then get ready for this week, Friday, college video, Wednesday, concept video, teaser. But this is the route. See if you know what it is. All right. See you next time. Thanks for watching.